There are two things I love in the kitchen. One is potato chips. The other is chocolate. If either are just laying around, they will be eaten by me. Well, today I decided that we are going to make a chocolate cake from the Great Depression. You all love the video I made about 20 of Grandma's frugal tips. I thought it would be interesting, since we're kind of going around this path of being more frugal, to look back at what they used to cook and maybe try out some recipes from that time. So I found a recipe for Grandma's chocolate cake. I am so excited to make it. It doesn't have any milk or eggs. I guess it was hard to come by those things during the Great Depression. So we're gonna see how this turns out. I think there are two types of cooks in the world. The one who's very scientific, who's really good at baking because they follow exactly to a T the measurements they need. And the second, which is me, where I just throw things in a pot and hope everything turns out okay. So again, not the best at baking. Typically when I make a cake, it's from a box, but we're gonna see how this goes. Now, I did make the icing yesterday because I wanted it to firm up a little bit. It turned out delicious. So I'll also include that recipe down below. It also didn't take any eggs or milk. So I wanted to show you guys, I really do love vintage stuff and grandma stuff. This glass, isn't that cute? Do you see it? This is from my husband's grandmother. I love these glasses. Anyway, let's get this show started. So this recipe calls for a half a cup of cocoa powder, and what they want you to do is take 2 cups of water and heat it to boiling, and then put it in a big bowl and let it sit for 2 minutes. So let's get that going. These bowls, I can't remember, I think they came from Crate and Barrel, but aren't they pretty? They're like these rainbow bowls. We've had these forever, and we use them all the time. They're also great for parties because they're really colorful. I think I'm gonna use the blue one. That's probably big enough, right? Maybe not. The green one? We'll use the green one. Okay, so we take the half cup of cocoa powder and we get it everywhere. Get in there. Hello. In case you did notice, I'm a very messy baker, and this is real life. This is not a cooking channel. But I think you guys might like that because it's, again, real life. So we'll put the 2 cups of hot water in there. It's almost like hot chocolate. See the steam? Should I get a facial? All right, and then I'm gonna stir that up just a bit. It's hot chocolate, baby. And we're gonna set that to the side while we do the dry ingredients. All right, Mr. Recipe, what is next? Oh, I should probably turn the oven on. This recipe wants you to bake for 350, and I'm using 2 9-inch round pans, or you can do cupcakes. You hear the tapping on the ground, Howie is here. So while the cocoa is sitting, combine the flour. So I've got 3 cups of flour, baking powder, 2 tablespoons, baking soda, 2 tablespoons, and salt, 1 tablespoon, in a medium bowl, and whisk to combine. So let's whisk and combine. What are we gonna do after this? We're gonna add the oil, which it calls for 2/3 cup of oil. So let's pour this in here. I did try to act like a cooking show, and I pre-measured my stuff to make for an efficient video. And then it says to add the vanilla. Where's my vanilla? How much vanilla? 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons. All right, so this is 1 teaspoon and 2 teaspoons vanilla. And then add what? Add what? 2 cups of sugar. Now, I didn't say this was healthy, but it's probably healthier than the stuff with all the preservatives in it, right? Oh, I should probably use a spoon instead of a whisk for this part. Might I note by telling you that my aunt was a wedding cake maker. She literally made, oh my gosh, the best German chocolate cake you would ever put in your mouth. It would make you want to smack yourself, seriously. And my brother was lucky enough, I think he got one of the last wedding cakes from her. She wasn't able at the time of my wedding to make my wedding cake, but he got it. Oh, it was so delicious. And then my mom, I grew up, she wanted, you know, extra, kind of like her own thing, her own income. Stuff's going everywhere. So she actually went and took cake decorating lessons. So what she did was decorate cakes for, gosh, as long as I can remember. She can still do it now, but she used to actually do it and make money. She could, you know, buy a cake pan and make whatever you wanted. And I remember I wanted to, I always wanted to watch her do it, but she did not like anybody standing over her shoulder, which is funny now because I cannot take anybody standing over my shoulder when I'm trying to do stuff. So it's just interesting. But I did not get the baking gene. Sorry. Now I can cook because I like just to kind of throw things together and experiment. And so if you guys want those kinds of recipes, like fried potatoes, oh my gosh, I would love to show you that. So I think this is as combined as it's gonna get. Let's see that there. And now what do? Now we're supposed to add the flour mixture to the cocoa mixture. Stir until thoroughly combined. Should we use our blender thing? I don't know. Okay. So let's add this. I think we need to use the blender thing. It doesn't say to blend. We're going to blend. Hopefully this doesn't go everywhere. We're just gonna stick it in here and hope. Obviously I'll catch this on camera if it happens. It's kind of going everywhere. Okay. Yep, it went several places. See, it's all over the recipe. What's next? Stir in the vinegar. It calls for, vinegar just reminds me of Easter eggs. 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. All right. Stir in the vinegar. It's very soupy. Ooh, it made it fizzle. The vinegar made it fizzle. What is the vinegar? Is it growing? It looks like, it's growing. What's happening? It's an experiment. Ugh. Seriously, it's fizzing. Anyway, okay, let's pour it into our cake rounds. I'm not trying to get this everywhere. Oh, it's kind of lumpy some places. Oh, well, hello. It is kind of lumpy at the bottom. Maybe we should mix this a little bit better. Should we taste it? Tastes like chocolate. Oh, I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, but you know, I don't do the easier way. I do the messier way because that's how I work. And then this is what you do. You do this. Yep, that's what you do. I'm serious, this stuff grew with the vinegar. It's weird. All right, we're gonna put these in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes. It worked! Look at that! They smell delicious. They look delicious. Can you smell? Okay, here we go. Go ahead. Smell it. Okay, I've got my little baking, what do you call this? Drying rack? Cooling rack! That's what this is. It's a cooling rack. I'm gonna flip them over and put them on this thing. Maybe. So this happened. Yeah. Obviously didn't grease the pan properly. This is real life. We're gonna make this work though. Trust me. Well, I mean, the good news about it tearing up is we get to try it. That's yummy. Now, we've got a little bit of a mess over here with this cake, but we're gonna make it work. So I'm gonna let it cool and then we're gonna frost it. Now I wanted to also tell you about the icing that I made yesterday. It's called How to Make Fluffy Dairy-Free Chocolate Icing. And you know what I just realized? Is that this is vegan. All of it's vegan. I'm so excited. This is great for anybody who has, you know, dairy intolerance. So this is it. This is the icing. I've got to stir it up a little bit, but I let it sit overnight and it tastes delicious. No, you can't have any, Howie. But it takes, you do the same thing with the cocoa. So you take 6 tablespoons of hot water and 6 tablespoons of cocoa powder and you combine them. And then you place, it calls for 6 tablespoons of cold dairy-free margarine. You put it in a mixer and you mix for 1 to 2 minutes until it's softened. And then you add 1 teaspoon of vanilla and mix it well. And then you add 2 cups of powdered sugar to the margarine and mix well. Add the cocoa mixture back to the bowl and mix it. Add the remaining 2 cups of powdered sugar to reach your desired consistency. Whip the frosting mixture for 1 more minute. Now I did notice that I had to put an additional cup of cocoa powder in the mixture. Not cocoa powder, confectioner's sugar, right? Powdered sugar. So I had to use about 5 cups. But on both of these, again, I'm gonna link the recipes down below. They're not my recipes, but I mean, this tastes delicious. So I'm excited. I'm letting this cool off, or not cool off. Geez, it was cold because it was in the fridge. I'm letting it warm up just a little bit to help me put these cakes back together. And I wanted to show you one more thing. When you're icing a cake, so this is my cake stand right here that I've had since I was, I think my mom, and it's got a lid to it. I think my mom got it for me when I was 23 or something, but take wax paper and you put it on here so that when you're icing the cake actually on the cake stand, afterwards you can pull these out from under it and it leaves a clean line around the cake. You know, so since this is real life, this happens. Has this happened to any of you? Probably not any professional bakers that are out there, but basically, as you saw, the cake pan, it didn't come out. So what I did was took some of the extra cake and put it underneath here just to kind of open it up or level it up. And then, so what I'll do is just use this front side as the front, and that's what we'll do. But right now, I'm going to add on some icing to the top. That way, it's almost like, you know, putting a layer of glue on top to keep this part together. And then we'll put on the other layer, which that layer turned out good. So it didn't leave too much in the pan. Next time I'll spray it better. Oops. This icing goes on amazing. It's just a little bit creamier than a store-bought icing. And you know, I'm gonna do something special. I'm gonna do a little surprise. Let's do something fun. You can always take these recipes, or any recipe really, and just make, well, you know what this is gonna end up looking like? One of those drip cakes. So this might be even better than we expected. But I like to take recipes and make them my own. That's just kind of how I've always been, especially because I'm a picky eater and there's a lot of things that I just don't necessarily like. So what I'm going to do with this is I just bought some delicious strawberries and I'm going to cut the strawberries up and layer them in the middle. Yummy! Does anybody love chocolate covered strawberries? Oh gosh, is there anything better? So good. All right, we got the other layer on, so let's put the rest of the icing on here. So let's decide, we've got some strawberries over here trying to escape, but like I said, this is gonna be more of like a drip cake, right? One of those fancy ones that you pay a lot of money for. See how it just kind of oozes out on its own? Good thing I've got that wax paper. So I want to be really careful because it just feels like this cake is a lot more, I guess, not as firm, which chocolate cake usually to me isn't, but like when you buy a box cake, it feels a lot more firm than this. The sides here, but again, it's very, very gooey, so it's just gonna look like a deconstructed cake. You know what? You know what matters? You know what always matters? That it tastes good. That's what matters. Get back in there. What matters is that it tastes good. It doesn't have to look good. It's gotta taste good. And you know what? I'm sure back during the Great Depression that when something didn't work out and it wasn't the prettiest, they still probably ate it anyway, right? That's what we're here to do. We're here to experiment. And this side of the cake, hot mess. Oh no, it's breaking. It's breaking. Okay, so it didn't turn out perfectly. It's actually breaking on the top, but I think it's gonna be yummy. Okay, now for the taste test with the icing and everything. That looks good, doesn't it? Wow! Disaster or not, that is delicious. Try this recipe out. Again, I'll have the link to the cake and the frosting down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want me to make more of these cooking videos, then make sure you hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you back for more videos.